Alright, good evening, and welcome back to Three Swords Gaming as we continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. And as we enter Season 4, so Path of Fire is now done. We defeated Balthazar, and we are ready to move forward with our eyes on Kralkatorrik, right? Which is what we have up here, Eye of the Brandstorm. Discuss the current status of Kralkatorrik with Timey and Ritlock. So, at the very end, when I finished Path of Fire, of course, it immediately rolled into Season 4, and we got a little call on our communicator, which apparently is in our backpack. I don't actually have a backpack on this character, but we got a call on our communicator saying, hey, got some leads or got some ideas or whatever on Kralkatorrik. That came from Timey, so we're going to go meet with Timey and Ritlock. Right outside of the city of Amnoon here. They're hanging out at a Dolyak ranch, which does not sound like a kind of place. I got no problem with ranches in principle. I don't know if I would want to be hanging out at a Dolyak ranch, but that's where Timey and Ritlock are. So let's go link up with them and find out what it is that Timey wants to talk about, and maybe get some clues as to the way forward. Dealing with Kralkatorrik now that we...
I'm here, Timey.
Oh, well.
Great, we're in the corral out back.
Alright, on my way, Timey.
Sorry about the location, but since you stole Joko's awakened army, Agent Keto thought we should keep a low profile.
Yeah, Joko might be unhappy about that. We'll learn more about that later in Season 4, and we'll explore that aspect of the story. But first, Kralkatorrik, right? So when we defeated Balthazar, Balthazar unleashed a whole bunch of magic that he had gathered. Some of that was from Primordus, some of it was from Jormag, some of it was from Bloodstone. So he had started to regain his strength, and all that magic that he soaked up to do that was released again, and Kralkatorrik absorbed the lion's share of that.
There you are. Just a few more adjustments to Scruffy and we're ready to hit the road.
We should check in with Jory and Kaz. See if they've caught up to Kralkatorrik.
They already checked in. Kralk is perched in some mountains. They said it's acting strange. That's odd. Something's interfering with the comm signal. I'll try out front.
Okay, nice touch here that whatever is strange, whatever's causing concern, so we can actually already start to see some of it from here. Not only do we hear a little bit of sound in the background and so forth, but the Dolyaks react to that as well. That's a fairly subtle touch that could have easily been overlooked, and for them to include that, I think is pretty slick.
Where's Canuck? I thought he was with you.
Amnoon, collecting his winnings. He's going double or nothing on you and Kralkatorrik. Speaking of which, we got a plan for when we do catch up to the Purple Menace.
I'm hoping Timey's research turns up something.
And if it doesn't...
Commander! Ritlock! Come quick!
Alright, so we do already know more about defeating Kralkatorrik than we did with some of the other dragons, because we learned what the potential weakness for Kralkatorrik was while we were poking around in Kesho, right?
A brandstorm? Again? I don't see any sign of Kralkatorrik.
If Kralk had flown over, we'd be walking jewelry right now.
Looks like Kralkatorrik's learned a few new tricks.
This is why I brought Scruffy. I'll have him run a scan.
Sounds good. Ritlock and I are gonna go get a closer look.
Is that really the wisest thing? To go get a closer look?
I was afraid of something like this.
I guess so.
We only handed an elder dragon to a god. What could go wrong?
Ritlock makes a valid point. Now, admittedly, the story kind of pinned us into that. I don't know what the other options were. I don't know that Ritlock knows what the other options were, but just the same. It's a valid point.
Why is this happening? You promised everything would be okay.
I promised nothing. I suggested that things might be okay. That was mostly just for your emotional health.
Those people are trapped
I didn't
inside
promise
the
anything.
crystal. We gotta get him out.
Okay.
Feel the fury. Time to do some real damage.
Alright, so Ritlock's alarm is caused by the fact that
We've got to save these
what's happening here is in fact branding the citizens of Abnoon. Presumably that's a bad thing. I'm sure it's a bad thing for them. So, Ritlock's unhappy about that whole thing. As he should be. As we should be.
I'll break you down.
So there are a number of achievements available in this instance. So now that I'm, working the new job and got a busy life again, and thus doing my playthrough this evening at a different time than normal, I'm not going to make any effort to pursue any achievements. We're still going to move through and try to soak up as much of the story as possible, but I have no interest in trying to track down all those civilians and saving them. They're on their own. I'm glad we're on hammer now instead of the axes, because reflex are my Achilles heel, and these elementals provide plenty of that. Working on it, Redlock. Calm down. So it is worth noting that while doing my 0 to 0 playthrough, I did already play through the entirety of Season 4. Because one of our goals was to get Sky Scale. I considered that to be a critical quality of life thing. And we did. We got Sky Scale, and I think we're better off for it. However, that required me to play through all of Season 4. So there are also a lot of achievements that, any low-hanging fruit when it came to achievements, I would have picked up during that 0 to 0 playthrough. So we'll see a little bit less of that as we play through this time.
I'll break you down. Clear the air.
I'm bleeding. We should get to the south gate. Rally any remaining cavaliers into the city.
Goodbye. Goodbye, villagers.
Cavaliers, Amnoon needs you. Get the civilians to safety.
You heard the commander. Let's get those people out of there.
Oreen, open the gates.
But there's dragons.
No time to explain. Do it.
That was actually a Reen that we saw kind of screaming across you.
Took you long enough. I'm not getting any greener, you know.
No, you're not.
But enough chit-chat. Those branded lieutenants are raising undead. I hope you wore your risen kicking boots.
I wore strappy sandals. That'll have to do. It'll just have to be good enough. Alright, so these guys, these death branded lieutenants, are all accompanied by some sort of crystal here. And are shielded until we destroy the crystal. Now this first guy right here, his crystal's right next to him. It's not a big deal. However, the other two are going to require a little bit of running around. Because, like, for this guy, for example, his crystal's all the way up there. Thus, we were already ready with our bunny. Or sky scale, I suppose. But honestly, I've always done this with bunny. It's just the easiest thing in my head to just grab the bunny and hop up here.
Whitlock, is that Aurene fighting a wyvern?
Good job, Irene.
She's put on some muscle.
Alright. Should we help out Captain Raheem here while we're running around? Might as well. Let's help that guy out. God knows, he's had quite a go of it. Alright, one more left. At the moment, at least.
Oh, it's on now. Time to do some real damage. Clear the air.
There's another one. Let's go.
Oh, another one. It just keeps happening. We think we're good, and then we're not. Did you have something you wanted to say, Captain Raheem? What's going on here? Good to see you. We needed help driving these monsters back. Well, that's what I'm here for. How bad is it, though? We have the numbers in my new recruits, but their training didn't prepare them for this. Yeah, I can relate. This looks like something that generally you do not train for, right? What about Iman, Zalambur, that being the council member? Like, they're the kind of the senior council member, and then Zalambur being kind of the godfather of the criminal underworld here in Arenanet. They evacuated a number of civilians via airship. What about situation on the ground? We already covered that. Okay. I think we got everything from Raheem that we wanted to get there. Let's find that next risen branded lieutenant, or branded risen lieutenant, or whatever it is. There he is. Where's the crystal? Right there.
That's Deputy Caius. Undercover. I hate having to kill.
Oh, it is Case. Yeah, so we may remember Case as Deputy Raheem's, or was it Captain Raheem? It's Captain Raheem. Captain Raheem's guy on the inside of the Homicene network. So he was like undercover, so to speak. Should we just use our finisher? We don't have any cool finishers on this count, do we?
Such a waste.
Apparently not.
Raheem will want to know what became of his deputy.
Or no, that's something.
Reinforcements over there.
Reinforcements. They just keep coming, don't they?
Feel the fury. Wither.
Alright, one more. And this genuinely is, if I'm not mistaken, the last one. Moving through it pretty quick. Which is good, because I don't have the time I used to.
Feel the fury.
We're going to skip that griffin. If there's one thing I don't like, it's griffins. That's not true. There's one thing I don't like, it's harpies. But griffins are among the things I don't like, because there's more than one thing I don't like.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Alright. Where? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Nice. Scary. Scary stuff, that word.
I'll break you down.
Feel them. They'll have to hit much harder.
Oop, wasn't paying attention to the shockwave. It's kind of hard to see it coming when you're that close. This is usually something that I range, actually. And we may still do that. I don't think I equip my longbow, though. I think we would have to go with axes if we decide to range this.
I'll break you down.
Feel the fury.
Definitely heard it.
Alright, what now? Actually, are we at a combat right now? We are not. Now we are. Alright, so we got this. It's gonna strike twice. It'll always do it in a perpendicular fashion, so however the first one goes, the second one's gonna go, you know, 100% at a, oh no! It's actually an achievement, I think, for not letting that happen. Apparently an achievement we failed at. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that perpendicular. So at a 90 degree, right? It's gonna make an X. There we go. Normal language. It's gonna make an X on the ground. All right. So the wyvern has now regened all its health. However, Arena's gonna come flying out of nowhere and kind of even things so that you know, we don't have to be all salty about the wyvern regenning again.
Clear the air. They'll have to hit much harder.
I'll break you down.
Alright, should be about ready to phase again.
Why couldn't Krauka Torek have branded a Troya for his lieutenant?
It's a valid question, Canuck. And imagine how excited. So I was really surprised when I initially saw the Choya during like Path of Fire beta preview weekend, whatever it was. I thought two things immediately. One, very clearly they are like poking fun at Final Fantasy XIV and those goofy little cactus dudes that like run around and you know like do cactus things. Or that's not even Final Fantasy XIV. That's just Final Fantasy. They've been around. Man, I remember them in Final Fantasy VII. They've probably been around longer than that. So I 100% assumed that you know it was like a reference to that. The second thing that failed. That I assumed is that the community in general was not gonna like really love the Choya very much because they're kind of ridiculous. I really underestimated how much the Guild Wars 2 community loves things that are in fact ridiculous. I should have known that. Like, I've been playing the game a long time. It should not have come as a surprise, you know, in any way whatsoever, that the community would like really embrace Choya, but they have. All right, so we should phase one more time, except I believe the phase gets interrupted. Yeah, there we go. Good job, Arena.
Time to
Let's
do
hope
some
it
real
stays
damage.
that way. Finish this, Commander.
Working on it, Canuck. Thanks.
Joko, Balthazar, now Krauka Torek. Remind me never to build a summer home here.
Hey, Ritlock. Never build a summer home here. Oh no, more branded. Kablam. Not Kabram, by the way, in case you
I mean,
misunderstood that.
test of Scruffy's new tactical upgrades successful. Look, I brought Agent Keto.
Commander, if Krauka Torek's minions can brand people even when it's not nearby, we have a very big problem.
We'll need local allies to stop it. And we can't just steal Joko's army again.
We cannot.
Recruiting forces would be easy back in Tyria. But Alona?
I don't get it, Canuck. What's the difference? You're not just being racist, alright? In fairness, people of Alona have been through a lot.
We've been looking
Maybe they're just
everywhere
tired.
for you. What were you thinking? You could have been killed. understand. That was... what was that?
It wasn't good.
The screams.
I don't know about the rest of it, but the city looked a lot like Faranor.
You still here, Keto?
There she goes again.
Teenagers. They grow up so fast.
Oh, we gotta talk to Keto too. Alright. So apparently I am still suffering from, like, muted cutscene syndrome. It's really weird. It's only happening on this account, but my settings are, like, basically the same across all the accounts, I think. I don't know why. It's not instrument volume. Surely not. I don't know. Do I need to have effects up higher? That just makes a lot of noise, though. Alright, Keto, what you got for us?
Farinor. You know this place, Keto? Can you take us there?
I know every place.
Oh, get
But no
out.
one gets into Faranor, or wants to. It's infested.
Humor us.
Well, the Sun Spears supposedly know a way in. And if you need local allies, they're a good place to start.
Right. Sun Spears. Where do we find them?
Hiding somewhere in the Astralarium in Istan, I expect. The head archivist may know something. There aren't many left, and Joko's trying to wipe the rest of them out. They don't want to be found.
Details. Istan it is. Ritlock, you and Canuck stay here and clean up any branded stragglers. Timey?
There's enough new Krauky debris here to keep Scruffy and me busy for days.
We should travel separately for safety. I'll go ahead. Jonik at the docks can get you passage. See you in Istan.
Alright, so I've said this before. Keto is done completely wrong. I stand by it. Keto's done completely wrong. If you want to show me that Keto is in the know, that he knows everything, don't have Keto tell me I know everything. That is like Minions, the movie. How do we know the bad guy's the bad guy? Because he says he's the bad guy. How do we know Agent Keto's sneaky? Because he says he's sneaky. Ridiculous. I'm not a 9-year-old. If you want to show me that Agent Keto does in fact know all kinds of things, simply have him possess the knowledge without, like, being a big meme about it. Kevin Rahim, what are your thoughts on the issue? Once again, we find ourselves in your debt. How bad is it, Captain Rahim? Because it looks, as I look around, it looks pretty bad. Now, they don't, because all the maps are locked in a certain period of time or whatever, none of this will actually be seen when we return to Amnoon. But, man, wouldn't it be cool if it was? But it's not. How bad is it? Structurally, the city is surprisingly intact. So thus, when we return to Amnoon, they've simply broken these crystals and dragged them away. As for casualties, we managed to evacuate as many as we could, but the attack was so sudden. Indeed. Newfound power for Krakatorik. Can you recover? Amnoon is strong. Well, that's good to hear. It'll take time, hard work, but our history is long. We've weathered worse. That's a good point, and that's kind of so going all the way back to when they introduced Amnoon and Pathfire, and going back to Amnoon being a hub in the first Guild Wars as well. That idea is kind of reinforced with the way they package all this. That Amnoon is a city that has stood the test of time. So yes. All right. Hey, Deputy Case. He is dead. I'll have to let his family. So I wonder what he was going to say here. My phone's ringing. It's immensely annoying. That's unfortunate. That's good news. That's heartbreaking. No idea what was going to be said here. Case had a family, a son and daughter. Oh well. You wouldn't. I really didn't know him at all. Why would you have known him, Commander? Because you interacted with him one time, in fact, in a ridiculous fashion. He did come to the big celebration, Your Honor. I didn't notice him there. Probably because I barely know him at all. He must have respected you as much as he respected anyone. I guess we'll never know. Okay. Let's. I actually don't even care. So let's move on. Again, because what was our attachment to Case? We talked to him one time. I don't know what. Why are they trying to sell me on this idea that we were close?
Bed down with the likes of Joko.
Raheem's recruitment drive has really paid off.
So Arene has...
Raheem's Cavaliers are too green. They'll get us all killed.
We should flee to Lion's Arch while we still can.
I agree. You both need to leave here. You need to go. You don't belong here. Because if you're going to be like that, the city doesn't need you. So Arene shows his vision, right? And presumably showed it to us for reasons. So we are going to go to Farnor and find out what's going on there, right? What do you think about it?
Outlander. Only ship's crew allowed on my docks.
I need passage to Istan.
Everybody needs something. Hold on. I know that face. Palawa Joko's put a price on your head, friend.
That's so. Last time I saw Joko, he wasn't in a position to make threats.
Either way, I don't take his coin. This rig's headed for Istan. I can stow you aboard if you'd like. Ain't exactly the royal stateroom, but it'll get you there. If you can keep your high-priced head out of sight.
Okay, so that actually should be like an indication. It should be something that we take note of or care about. This turtle looks like a bear, by the way. That being, if Joko has put a price on our head, is he still locked up in, like, the Miss? Because how would he do that from there, right? So this is kind of our first indication that at some point we may have to account for that whole trolling Joko thing. All right, so here we are in Istan. Now, I've mentioned this a few times.
Bounties posted. Corsairs are smelling gold again.
But now that we're here, I really want to, well, there's a couple things that we should note about Season 4 in general. Two things I want to address. One, I've talked about how I feel like the studio has at times used the first game as a crutch instead of making the second game its own thing, specifically when it comes to narrative. Okay? Gameplay-wise, the second game is nothing like the first. They are drastically different. Barely, you can barely even see the bloodlines there. They are so different. But for narrative, it's like the studio lost their minds and had no idea what they wanted to do with story and kind of got scared by that fact and just completely leaned on the first game as like their mechanism for storytelling. And Season 4 is really the pinnacle of that. So we're going to see over the next, 6 chapters, the entirety of Season 4, and really the last couple chapters aren't that bad about it. So it's really like the first 4 chapters of Season 4 are just like Guild Wars, the original game, revisited. And it doesn't always feel good, in my opinion. Some folks love it because they love the first game. I like the first game too. I played it a lot. Never did map completion was hard in the first game. I never did finish that. But I did play the first game a lot. I like it. It's fine. It's good. But the second game shouldn't be the first game. And it's going to look, at times, a lot like the first game. A little bit of a problem there. The other problem that we're going to run into is I have like a very intense dislike for AFK farming, and I've already mentioned it a few times. I mentioned it during Certain Zero as well. It's to me, it's I don't see the difference between AFK farming and cheating in PvP or cheating in World vs. World or something like that. To me, they are all the same. And if I ran the studio, the punishment for those things would be the same. However, I don't run the studio, so, whatever. In Season 4, we are going to see more of it than at any point in time. It is rampant in Season 4. Like, Season 4, because of the way the reward system works for this season, it is just, like, over the top, crazy out of control. So Oh, I shouldn't have moved. That's something that we're going to kind of have to deal with, and I'm just going to try and... I've already thrown such a fit over it that I will try to just ignore it during our Season 4 playthrough. There are going to be times when it's impossible to ignore because areas where the story takes us are just going to have stacks of AFK farmers just standing around. Skills on... they're using a like a button clicker program. So most of them be Reapers, and they're just repeatedly casting Great Sword. What is it, 3, I believe? And then they'll have minions out, and they'll be stacked on top of each other, 10 or 15. Some of them are going to be, 8 or 9 associated with one person. They'll have matching names, or they'll all have like the exact same number of mastery points, stuff like that. Like, it's pretty obvious what's going on. But we're going to see a lot of it in this. So, 2 things that are going to be a huge turnoff for me. There are some positive things about Season 4. And of course, Season 4 added to the success of Path of Fire when it comes to mounts. So the masteries... It is, in fact. Good job, Commander. The masteries associated with... Yes, you should do that. Associated with Season 4 are almost exclusively predicated around adding to the experience of mounts. So, Bond of Life, Bond of Vigor, and then a couple more that I'm not working on right now. Because I'm sitting on some of these. Actually, I guess we could... Bond of Fate. Why not? We got the... Let's do it. We got the master points. So those are the Season 4 masteries. This one, and this one are all built around the mounts. And just making the mount experience more positive. This one is just, can you gather the magic on the map? I never like things like that being a mastery, but it's kind of inevitable. Because they have gaps they need to fill when it comes to masteries. So that's just kind of how they go about it. All right, the rest of these we're going to save because after we do the story playthrough, after I finish it in its entirety, I'll probably return to the 0-0 format and unlock Roller Beetle and a few other things. So we're just going to sit on our mastery points right now, which is a shame because it feels like kind of wasted experience, but it doesn't matter. That's what we're going to do. Archivist Rada, we are looking for Sun Spears.
Welcome to the Astrolarium, the supreme repository of knowledge in Istan. What is it you seek?
Sun Spears. I told you that.
You're the Tyrian hero, the God Killer, the Dragon Slayer, Kanak's crony.
You know Kanak?
Shh! There's a bounty on your head. Are you trying to get turned in?
Over there?
Praise be to beneficent Joko, who patronizes our intellectual pursuits.
I need to find the Sun Spear base.
Lower your voice. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't believe you. Why so nervous?
There are those here who, from fear or greed, rewrite our histories to glorify King Joko, whereas others risk their lives to preserve the truth.
I admire your courage. I want to help, but I need to get in touch with the Sun Spears.
To protect our most sacred tomes, Archivist Salwa has locked them in the restricted archive. That's also where you'll find the secret entrance to the Sunspear's base. But you can't just waltz in. Salwa is militant. She won't admit anyone until she's convinced they oppose Joko.
So I'll convince her. I'm no fan of Joko, and I don't think he's too thrilled with me either.
Words alone will never sway her. Joko's minions have been here for weeks revising the histories to lionize that fiend. If you can put a stop to it, I suspect Salwa will be more than happy to let you in.
Okay. So this is one of those situations where the next story step is complete the heart. Alright, that's what we'll do. It's not really... this one's not bad because you got the mirrors. There is an achievement for doing all the mirrors in a certain amount of time. And basically you can just complete a mirror, let it go majority of the way around or you're not going to get credit for it, it'll reset. And then you just use your raptor. I already got the achievements, so... or I'm pretty sure I did during 0-0, so... we shouldn't see anything happen here. But, yeah, it's not that hard if you just... your raptor will come off cooldown as you rotate the mirror, and easy peasy. And that's going to get us a good chunk of the way on our heart. And then Upstairs, yeah, upstairs will address some propaganda issues. All right, let's go upstairs. And then the heart will be almost done. I think once we're done with that, we're only gonna have to come down and do a couple of like the little things down here, which are a little bit annoying, but not particularly difficult. So if you were, if you found yourself in a position where you squandered your season 4 mastery and or not mastery, map currency, and you were having to generate more of it. Maybe you did the return to achievements, but then you used it on like ascended trinkets or whatever.
I heard a magical storm hit.
What I would recommend is if you're not in a huge rush, if you're in a huge rush, farm it however you want. I don't care. I'm not your mom. But if you're just gonna take your time, farm it out, work on other aspects of Skyscale or whatever while you're doing that, then the way to go would be to identify like the fastest heart on each map, and just when you log in each day, knock out the one fastest heart on each season 4 map, like super quick. That won't work for the last map. You'll see why when we get to that. But you can do it with the rest of them, and the fastest heart on each map is just a couple minutes. So in probably less than 15 minutes, you'll get at least 5 of each of the currencies for the first 5 maps, and so after 50 days, then you're done. If 50 days seems a long time, farming 5 more of the currency is probably pretty easy. All right, let's finish this heart. These things are pretty easy. Oh, yeah. Gotta align the telescope first. All right, it's aligned. Look through it. Fire Breath, Dragon Maw, 124. Fire Breath, Dragon Maw, Fire Breath, Dragon Maw, Fire Breath, Dragon Maw. Alright, one more. Actually, we might not even have to look through it. Just turning the telescope might get us our heart. Let's see here. Alright, cool. Let's go talk to our archivist. Oh, we gotta go back upstairs first before we go into the Sunsphere Sanctuary. Man. What a buzzkill.
Impressive. I think you've done more than enough to prove you're truly anti-Joko. You shouldn't have any problem getting Salwa to let you into the restricted archive. Tell her I've sent you to retrieve a book called Nightfall. The book will reveal the entrance to the Sunspear base.
Alright. Not too sure about the Sunspear's personnel security program. I feel like they could refine it a little bit. But we jump through the hoops. See if we can get in the base. Hey there.
Archivist Rada sent me to fetch a book for her. The title is Nightfall. She said you'd know it.
Every page, by heart. Rada has an eye for history. And apprentices too, it seems. Enter, and do not fail her.
Poof, we've entered.
Nightfall. Nightfall.
Alright. So this is the book, Nightfall. There's a page bookmark, turn to it. This is, the Apocrypha challenged the great Palawa Joko to single. The Apocrypha challenged the great, transforming itself frantically from form to form in an attempt to best the unbeaten Lich King. Huh. Where Joko is highlighted, continue reading. King played with it for a time, deriving amusement from the melee. As soon as his course-fullness grew weary of the battle, and with a snap of his fingers, he felled the ancient guardian. Continue reading. With the Apocrypha broken at his feet, the great Palawa Joko said, "It's just like you monoliths to crack under pressure." Man. See, they do make him cheesy sometimes. He's probably one of the better villains that they've, introduced to the game. They probably, within removing the first game and just looking at the second game, probably as well written as any of their villains. But they do this thing where they like do the horrible jokes. Alright, Pla Joko dared the demon to eat Cormier's eyes. Do it. Dragging a blind woman through the abyss and back might actually prove a challenge. With scream and slurp, the demon obeyed. Is this the best Corna has challenged me? Enough of this. To Vabi. The word is highlighted, so now we got Joko is highlighted. Your false god will kneel before me, Asa. His Majesty Palawa Joko gloated over the War Marshal's corpse. I shall protect the people of Alona from the nightfall you've attempted to bring upon them. The word false is highlighted. Continue reading. The great king then opened a rift to the realm of torment with his bare hand, and the god of secrets whimpered. Palawa Joko is coming, and none who stand in his way live to tell the tale. Page is blank, except for 3 glowing spaces. You recall the 3 glowing words, Joko's false. Poof. Alright. So I guess that book is untrue.
That's dramatic.
It was, in fact, dramatic.
Ahai, hero of Amnoon. I am First Spear Hakima of the Istani Sun Spears.
You know who I am?
Every Sun Spear knows who you are. And I believe we have some common interests. Joko's hold on Istan has weakened in his absence. Some of us here even dare to dream of a new era.
I left Joko rotting in a cage in the domain of the lost. Should definitely make for smoother sailing.
You would think. But the number of awakened grows. They're retaking towns we freed, including Champion's Dawn. And someone claiming to be Joko is offering rewards for the heads of his enemies. Especially yours.
So I hear. I'll tread carefully. To that end, I'm here to ask if you can get me into Farinor.
Oh. I'm afraid not. Only our leader knows the way. Spear Marshal Zaim guards that secret with his life. He rode south to retake Champion's Dawn from the Awakened. The priest there, Sazir, usually knows where he is.
Then that's where I'm headed.
Alright, so we kind of came here and did a thing for no reason at all, or maybe just to be kind of led on a little bit of a goose chase. And in fact, as sometimes happens with the living world, much of this first chapter is exactly that. It's like we're kind of getting the runaround just to try and get into Farinor. I do think it is a bit more... It's better than like Ember Bay, for example, where we spend the entire chapter like trying to keep the islands from exploding, only to remember that, yeah, that's not like, we're not island preservationist. What's someone who preserves things? Preservationist? There's the word I was looking for. We're not island preservationists. We are like ridiculous heroes who apparently are going to save Tyria repeatedly. So like that whole chapter is kind of just off doing its own thing, right? This one doesn't feel that bad. They definitely do a much better job in this chapter of this guy's hard to kill because this other guy. Of making the wild goose chase somewhat rewarding. So we can be grateful for that at least. And they do... Well, I don't consider Season 4 to be particularly strong from a storytelling perspective. There are some things that they do pretty well in Season 4. And this is one chapter in particular. This one and the next one. The first 2 chapters of Season 4, there's one voice actor in particular who, like, really shines. Absolutely fantastic job. Whether I like the character or not is kind of secondary in terms of that voice actor's performance. They do an outstanding job. So we'll get to that when we get to it. It's a bit later in the chapter. Right now, we need to find Zaim, who rode south to free Champion's Dawn, or Priest Sazir.
No mercy for enemies.
Lots of undead. Why didn't I just get on my sky scale? Why am I on the bunny still? What's going on here?
looking for Priest Sazir. I heard he may have seen what happened.
Awakened overran us. Took our food. Damn near destroyed the place. What does it look like?
Not you, Father. Me. He forgets he's now an elder priest, retired. This isn't a good time. We've been through a lot.
I was told Spear Marshal Zaim had ridden here to help. Have you seen him?
The Spear Marshal, yes, he did come to our defense. I thought he might be able to turn back the Awakened.
Then Zaida the Sly and her corsairs ambushed him. Carted him off to sell to the highest bidder.
I can't exactly just walk onto her ship and ask her to give him back. I need some leverage.
Might be a way. Old Corsair family like the Slies. Only one thing means more than gold. Honor.
No, Father, I know this story. It would be suicide to even try.
Centuries ago, story goes, a Sunspear champion found a coin. Belonged to a Corsair. Name of Margaret the Sly. Sly family wanted it back. Swore they'd grant any favor to whoever returned it. No one ever has.
How can I get this coin?
You can't. Hundreds of Corsairs have entered the cave of the Sunspear champion, hoping to best him, win the coin, and get a favor from the Slies. All have died. Like I said, suicide.
I've died before. It's overrated. Where do I find this cave?
Gross. Horrible dialogue.
It's on the south shore. You need only follow the trail of dead, but I wish you'd reconsider.
Boy, who do you think you're talking to? If anyone can win that coin, it's this one. Might even help our town along the way. I can see it in your eyes, Commander. Cormir be with you.
Now, look at that. Within moments, we get, like, usual Arenanet nonsense. The commander, I've died before. It's overrated. Hey, man, like, that's really impressive. Like, they got the entire 6th grade class to sit down together and come up with a line like that. Then, moments later, Elder Priest here does something right. Something that we don't see out of Keto. Might even help our town along the way. I can see it in your eyes, Commander. Cormir be with you. Did the commander like ever introduce herself as a commander? Let's go back and take a look. Oh, I suppose Hakima addressed us as Hero of Amnoon. Just the same, I like the priest tone. Like, that is what Keto should be doing. Whether it was the voice acting, whether it was the way they wrote the dialogue, Sazir called us Hero of Amnoon. The word commander doesn't come up until the Elder Priest says it, or Senior Sazir. That they did a much better job of making this guy look like he knows more than he's letting on than they ever do with Keto. Because Keto does let on, and it's horrible. What else do you know, old man? Keep your voice down. If the loyalists or their undead goons catch wind or recruiting Sunspears, well, I'm sure you understand that's kind of frowned upon in these. Yeah, I imagine so. Tell me more about this legend. What can you tell me about the awakened Sunspear?
Not much to tell, really. He's been there since before my father's father was born. Kind of tradition for the kids of the village to sneak out there to the cave and watch him knock down challengers. He's not like the other awakened I've met. He was always kind to us kids. Put on a real show.
Whoa. Okay, I don't think they meant to do this. Genuinely don't think the studio meant to do this. Here, he makes it sound like, oh yeah, we used to go out and watch people, try to challenge the awakened Sunspear, and, he'd always slap them around, and it was good fun for us kids. Earlier, they said that no one ever returns. They all go and die. So now we kind of get, like, the Elder Sazir here is kind of like, yeah, we used to go watch people die. It was a real hoot. I don't think that's actually what Arenanet meant to communicate. Alright, tell me more about the coin.
What's to say? Of course, Sarah made a bet, lost an heirloom, and died before she could get it back. It's become kind of a family IOU. Passed to her kid and her kid's kid until it landed in Saida's hands. The Sly crew is pretty, traditional. They take the old code of honor very seriously. If anything can save you from the business end of their sabers, it's that coin. Trust me.
I feel like there are other options on the table. But, you know, I mean, it's like an interesting little story twist. It's a thing. Not something to yeah, I don't think it's bad. I really don't. It's kind of nonsensical in the grand scheme of things. Like, there are probably better ways to go about this. But going to get the coin, I guess that's what we'll do. Let's go see if we can find this coin. By the way, when Margaret the Sly was a character in the first game, I 100% am not under the impression that Sly was intended to be her last name. Unless, of course, her middle name was The. Or, you know, I don't know. Like, but,
Trail of dead.
yeah, see, they're dead. That's not entertaining. That's not something for little kids to come watch and get a kick out of. What's wrong with that, old man? But in this game, for whatever reason, now Sly has become a family name over time. Maybe because Margaret was so well renowned for her slyness that the family just kind of inherited the name. I don't know. She was a hero in the first game, like an NPC companion that would come along with you and assist you. You know, the heroes worked well in the first game. Excuse me. But that's because like so much of the first game was instanced. Like, essentially everything in the first game was instanced. It could be played like a single-player RPG. Guild Wars 2 isn't quite the same way. There's a lot of open world in Guild Wars 2, obviously. Alright, where's this old Sunspear? Undead Sunspear.
A deluded fool come to court death in the name of Avarice. Costs will oblige you too.
I have no wish to fight you, but I need your coin. Not for myself, to save a Sunspear. The Spear Marshal.
Sunspear? What are you trying to pull? The Sunspears died out years ago.
No, they live. And they're fighting right now to save Istan. But they need their Spear Marshal.
And from what does he need saving, this Spear Marshal?
The current Sly Captain, Saida. She plans to sell him to Joko's minions. I need him to help me win a war.
Joko? I died valiantly, a worthy end only to be raised from the dead by that infernal sop, turned into this. Compelled to obey his every order, I banished myself here to evade them. Can't obey what you can't hear.
Ingenious. Then it should please you to give me the coin so I can defeat his armies.
I like you, but I don't know you. Koss was no patsy in life, and he will not be in death. Honor demands you will fight, and probably die, like all the rest. But best me, and the coin is yours.
Okay. We got a deal. So, Koss here, you know, like Margaret and like so many of the characters that we've talked about, and we'll be talking about in Season 4, he was a character from the first game, a hero, so an NPC companion, just like Margaret was. Margaret, excuse me. Where are the rocks? Oh, did he not? I thought he'd oh no, I wasted that rock. Catastrophic. So, here in a second, we're going to need a... Oh, there it is, and now I don't. Alright, well, we broke it anyway. Yeah, when he phases, you want to break his break bar, and then he's pretty trivial after that. He's pretty trivial anyway, to be honest.
The great and mighty Koss bested in combat. Who the hell are you?
Someone who's in a hurry?
Well, the coin is yours. I'll no longer be entertained by foolish corsairs seeking glory and favors. This life beyond the grave will become even duller than before. Hard to imagine.
We hope to bring down the Mordant Crescent. And with Joko in the domain of the lost, Things can change.
His whispers travel far, even on others' lips. I dare not leave, lest I become his weapon once more. But you do me this favor. You hurt him hard, so not one more soul can be condemned to this. Now go.
All right, Koss. Yeah, so for me, this is one of the more egregious, like bringing back characters from the first game. And of course, we got, remember at the end of season 3, there was Livia, and there's been a number of others that aren't like, that aren't coming to me like immediately right now. And there's going to kind of be a thing again as we advance through season 4. We're going to get more Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 1. Now, because we're here in the desert, it's all going to be kind of centered around the Nightfall expansion of the first game, and that was a good expansion. People will argue with you about whether Factions was better or Nightfall was better or whatever. I thought Nightfall was slightly better, but I don't know. I mean, like, you can go either way on it. This is gonna be an ongoing thing. So here we got Koss, still around after 250 years because Joker brought him back. What are your thoughts on the matter, Koss? Oh, you mentioned you died valiantly before getting raised again. You want to talk about it?
The Sun Spears of my time thought it best not to engage Joko directly. I knew he was too much of a threat to ignore. We were the ones who released him. It was up to us to end his menace. I took a few volunteers to do just that. We failed. I failed.
All right, so as I recall, when he says we are the ones who released him, I think that actually includes the player character in the first game. I think that's part of the first game. I think that's part of Nightfall, is releasing Joko, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time, though. Long time. Anything else? Nothing else? Okay. Cool. Then I'm out of here. Alright. So we got the coin.
Commander, Ridlock, wanted to give you an update. The branded here in Amnoon seem to have moved on. Casimir says Kralkatorok is still sitting in the mountains.
Sounds like you've got things under control back there. I could use everyone's help here with the Sun Spears.
We can head that way, but I think Timey's having too much fun feeding rocks to her golem.
Scruffy is running them through his petrology spectrograph.
Rock tests. I got it. Check in when you get here.
Alright, so our friends are coming to help us. We're going to take this coin to Saida, not Margaret. I almost said Margaret. Let's get this waypoint right here. And see if we can get Zaim back, right? So he's the Sunspear commander, and we really need him to help us get into Farnar. There was a time, so I guess, is it sunset? Yeah, Sunspears are assaulting Pelawidon. That meta event was, like, stupid big for a while. It was just because of the sheer amount of loot that it gave a ton of loot. Still does, it's just, so does Drizzlewood, and Drizzlewood probably, like, the loot system works a little bit better. Or it's more profitable. So, given a choice, but I in fact, as I recall, it was Drizzlewood that actually finally broke like the Pelawidon stranglehold on meta events. But for a long time, man, like this meta event was just crazy in terms of people treating it like something that needed to be done, with great regularity. I do not. Leave me alone. All right. Let's go ahead and we're going to take a break here because these days with my work schedule, I just don't have the time for for the particularly long videos. So we're going to go ahead and pack it in here. We have begun Season 4. And no sooner do we defend the city of Amnoon from a branded attack than Arene gives us a vision. Hey, you gotta go rescue the people of Istan and head to Farnar. So, trying to get to Farnar, unfortunately, that's proving to be a complex task. We need the Sunspear Commander to help us with that. But he's currently being held by pirates, so we recovered this old family coin, and we are going to take it to the pirates and try and exchange it for the Sunspear Commander. So that's where we're at. Do not know when I'm going to get around to knocking out the next little chunk of it. It may be a hot minute. But when we do get back around to it, we will hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, rescue that Sunspear Commander and head over to Farnar. So that's where we'll pick it up next time. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a good one.